Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over the colder pattern which is going to be taking place over the western and eastern United States over the next week or two, and then in between those areas in the central United States we'll actually have a little bit of warmer temperatures. We'll have some snow in the northwest which we'll cover towards the end of today's video, and we'll be timing out those cold temperatures. So we're going to be looking at when and where the lowest of the temperatures will be taking place, and we'll again be showing you what days that'll be happening on as well. So here's a look at the current National Weather Service page. As you can see, we have a few red flag warnings in effect for some parts of California, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, Kansas, and Oklahoma, as well as some air quality alerts in effect for eastern Texas as well as central California. We have a few aerial flood advisories in northern Maine, but other than that, we don't have many other watches or warnings currently in place. Yesterday, we had a high temperature of 107 degrees in Death Valley, California, with a low temperature of 14 degrees in Peter Sinks, Utah. The highest rainfall report was in Jackson, New Hampshire, where they got 4.23 inches of rainfall, and there were no snowfall reports yesterday, but we will probably see a few snowfall reports over the next few days due to a snow event which is going to be taking place in the Rockies in the next couple of days. If we take a look at the low temperatures, we're going to be, again, just timing this out for you guys. This will be for Monday, so tomorrow, and you can see nothing really stands out on the screen right now. We're dealing with maybe a bit below normal temperatures into the northwest. It's a little bit chillier than normal into the northeast, and it's actually a little bit warmer than normal into the central United States. But if we're looking at extremes, we're not really dealing with anything too crazy. But as we get into Tuesday, you're going to see that it gets a lot colder into these spots. So this is how you'd read the map. We're looking at about 30 to 40 degrees in that light blue color and almost a white color, which you see for much of Oregon. The darker blues, which would be what you see, for example, in northern Nevada, that would be when you're in the 40s. And then once you get into kind of this color right here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, that's where your low temperatures are into the 50s. If they ever get into the red colors, which you see in some of the mountains of British Columbia and Alberta, that's where your temperatures are dropping below 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's where they would be into the 20s. And then the yellows, oranges, that's where you're above 60 degrees. So that's where it would be fairly mild. So this would be for Tuesday, and you can see we're starting to see a little bit of a plunge of colder air into the western United States, and this plunge of colder air will continue to move further to the east. So you can see we have widespread below 30 degree temperatures in these areas, but it's mostly for the higher elevations. If we're looking at some areas in lower elevations in the valley of southern Idaho, as well as for parts of eastern Washington, some of these areas that get a little bit lower in elevation, you're dealing with lows that are going to be in the 40s and 50s, so not as cold, but still rather chilly for this time of year. You can then see that we have this colder air intensifying over the Rockies, but one thing that's kind of prominent is that you have this big rise in warm air all the way up to Manitoba in Canada, where you have those really warm temperatures, and that's going to cause a little bit of a divide among the country, where we're going to have colder temperatures starting to plunge in due to this really warm air into the eastern United States. So this warm air up into the Dakotas and Minnesota and parts of central Canada is going to allow colder temperatures to dive into the eastern United States and also into the western United States. So when you have a little bit of a warm plunge of air that pushes everything further to the north over one specific area, to the east and to the west of there, you're typically going to see a little bit of a regression down to the average, and you'll actually see some colder temperatures on either side. One thing that's notable is that we see mid-20s into the higher elevations of Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana, so definitely starting to feel a little bit more like late fall and winter for those spots. And for the Northeast, we're dealing with low temperatures into the 40s, maybe I would say even some low 40s. Not really even jacket worthy by that point, so we don't really even need to really dress up for that type of weather, considering that it's only going to be in the morning, and then by the afternoon it will be back up into the 60s, maybe even the low 70s. So nothing really too crazy over there. Then as you get to Thursday, you can see that the low temperatures or the colder temperatures are going to start to move a little bit further to the east on either side. So you see this narrow area of warmer temperatures, basically the same width as Minnesota is where those warmer temperatures are kind of staying. And then on either side of there, again, you have those colder temperatures plunging into the east and also into the west. The low temperatures into the Rockies going to be into the 30s for a lot of those spots, so fairly chilly. And then you get up into the northeast and you're dealing with low 40s. I wouldn't even rule out a few upper 30s in some of the higher peaks on Thursday morning. If we then move to October 1st, which is Friday, you can see that we have some colder temperatures, again, still lingering in for the Northwest and the Rockies, but not as cold as before. We still have that warmer air mass into the central United States, and then we actually have some 40s, low 40s, and 30s moving into parts of the Northeast, but actually a little bit further south this time. So moving into areas like West Virginia and Pennsylvania instead of just staying up into upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So we'll start to move a little bit further to the south as we get to about Friday. Saturday still rather chilly. What we're seeing now is that this warm air is kind of curving on top of this area of colder air. So all of this is due to that, again, we have a storm in the northwest that'll be bringing in the colder temperatures as well as the snowfall. So that's what we have going on over here. And then we have a thin little narrow area of high pressure that's kind of trying to stay afloat in between these two areas of lower pressure in the eastern and western United States. So it is creating a bit of a challenge where you have this very thin strip of slightly warmer temperatures, and that's kind of trying to compete with the colder temperatures on either side. If we move this on, you can see that we have those colder temperatures, again, still sticking in for the eastern United States. If you live in the southeast, it'll actually be fairly chilly compared to normal. You'll get down into the 40s and 50s for Sunday morning, and then that would be October 3rd. And then if we look at for Monday, the 4th of October, it pretty much stays the same. By this point, it looks like that little plume of really warm temperatures or above normal temperatures in the central U.S. is going to kind of go away a little bit. So we'll start to see that shift a little bit further to the south. Maybe you actually get into some of the colder temperatures by early next week. So those warmer temperatures will probably go away for most of those areas. And then you can see by Tuesday, it gets even colder for the Northeast, where you have some fairly solid 30-degree temperatures into parts of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. And then much of the rest of the Northeast is dealing with 40s for the low temperatures. So that's your low temperatures over the next few days. If we look at the upper air map, it's going to show you a really interesting pattern that's taking place. So this is going to show you where the warmer and the colder temperatures are located. Here would be for Monday, so you can see this was before the really cold temperatures into the west. We have a low pressure into British Columbia, and then we have another one into parts of Quebec, Canada, and that's going to be driving the pattern. So we have both of these kind of driving the colder air further to the south, and then we have an area of high pressure right in between both of them. So that's where your warmer temperatures are going to be located. Now, if we move this on to Wednesday, you can see completely shifts. Now, I'll go back one frame here. So this was by Monday night, and then here's by Wednesday morning. Completely different pattern, and a lot of things have changed. So now you have this trough digging well into the western United States. So you have a trough right there, and then you have another area of low pressure into the northeast. So that's driving in some colder temperatures, and then right in between both of them, you have an area of high pressure or warmer temperatures setting up into the central United States. So that's what's bringing in some of those warmer temperatures, and this low pressure is going to basically be cut off from everything else. We're going to have a blockage over the northern Atlantic as well as over Canada and the central United States. So this storm is basically isolated by this point, has nowhere to go. So it's just going to sit here. And this low pressure on the west coast is also going to be kind of stuck here, but it will at least be able to nudge this high pressure a little bit further to the east. So this would be by Wednesday, and then here would be by Thursday. You can see that we still have that general troughing motion into the western United States, you can see that we do have a big ridge into parts of the central United States still up to this point, and then we have a low pressure into New England and the Northeast in general, where we have some of those colder temperatures starting to set up and continuing to drive through those areas. This would be by Saturday, and you can see that now it does start to warm up for the west a lot more. We still have that high pressure into the Great Lakes and also into parts of Canada as well, but we also have this low pressure starting to expand itself a little bit more along the East Coast. So basically along the entirety of the East Coast, we have some rather chilly temperatures compared to normal. And then if we move this on to Monday of next week, here's what happens. We have Sam, Hurricane Sam or Tropical Storm Sam, down into and just near Bermuda, and that's going to be pushing this other low pressure, which was bringing in all the cold temperatures. That's going to push it further to the north. So the tropics are now getting involved with the mainland U.S. pattern, which is quite interesting. We don't see that happen too often. And then we see both of them kind of merge together, and we see more cold air, even stronger this time, moving into the northeast once again. So it's going to be an interesting pattern, and it's going to be definitely fun to watch play out. If we look at the Climate Prediction Center's forecast, I think they have this a little bit too warm. I would add in a few more areas of near normal or below normal temperatures for the northeast, just because of how it looks like over the next few days. I don't think it'll be actually that warm as they're saying. The Climate Prediction Center, again, we know they have a little bit of a warm bias. Typically, they are going to show, especially once you get into their 8 to 14 day or even their 3 to 4 week or their 1 month outlook, they do start to get quite warm bias, so they do put up much warmer temperatures compared to what normally will actually happen. So I don't like to use them too much, but this will give you a general idea of what we're expecting. You're seeing that we have those warmer temperatures into the northern plains, and then we have some colder temperatures into the southwest and the southeast. Nothing that will be too extreme on either end, and this would be from October 1st through October 5th. Here's the snowfall map, and you can see that we are expecting some snow into the foothills of Colorado, as well as for some areas of Nevada, California, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. Wouldn't even rule out some snow in Wyoming, and then also into Washington. And then also, if you live up in Canada, it should be present in parts of British Columbia and Alberta, although you'll have to get up into some of the higher elevations to get some of that snowfall. So as we get closer to that event, I'm not certain on whether I'll make a video on that specifically, or whether I'll make a winter forecast on that, but we'll see. I might make one. Make one and might make a snowfall forecast for that as well. It's all really up to how strong that system gets. So if you have any questions or comments, leave one down below, and I'll be responding within a few hours of you putting that up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.